get back to work in order to make this vision come true. Thank you all for listening, and may God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria.
You have watched the address of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I do not know what you think of this broadcast. For the first time, you will see Bola Ahmed Tinubu speaking to Nigeria in a manner that he is apologizing for the catastrophic failure of his government. He said, they messed up. How did they mess up? They did not plan for the effect of subsidy removal. It tells you that these are a bunch of people who cannot think. These are people who claimed that they won an election. These are people who somehow in February this year found themselves in government by breaking the system that was meant to have a very good election. What then happened? The rest is history. Some of you call them president-select. Whatever and however you may wish to address them as, one thing is very clear, that the chicken has come home to roost. You have watched his address now, appealing to Nigeria for the first time. You know, it gets me really angry, to be honest with you, Nigerians. It gets me angry because when I look at that, I'm trying to take some notes, trying to make some point. Virtually none. These things are like people still in campaign. We will. Infrastructural support for states. Futuristic. We're going to devote 100 billion. Futuristic. But he made immediately telling Nigerians that we have saved over over a trillion from the oil subsidy. We saved over a trillion, yet all we hear is 100 billion that will be between now and March 2024. They will use that to buy buses. Yet our people in the Senate are budgeting 70 billion for them to buy cars and buy bulletproof cars. Judiciary 35. I do not know what you understood from this broadcast. Myself, I'm struggling a lot because it is very, it makes you angry to think that these are a people that have been here since March 2023 until May. 90 good days, 33 months. You never thought of how you are going to remove the fuel subsidy or how you're going to do with it. Buhari had already said it. We know that in the end of Q2, which is June, there's not going to be any fuel subsidy budgeted or planned in the budget. Nobody's asking question. How did they steal 1 month worth of subsidy removal? Subsidy from May 29th to June 30th, 1 month and 1 day. Who ate that money that was already budgeted? Who ate the money? Nobody's asking that question. The subsidy was budgeted up till June. You removed it in May. NNPC, KRA came out to tell us its immediate effect, 550, 570. We started paying that in May. From 30th of May, we already started paying 500 plus. People, isn't that insanity? Who is giving us that billions for 1 month? Nobody, no account. It's And today we saw in the National Assembly how they are screening people. I saw one that really made me think that some of these people have no shame. They have no shame in any way, shape, or form. We have some of them that kept on telling Nigerians, oh, they are not going to, well, if they ever join this party, yati, yati, yati. And what happened? Have you forgotten? People, let's analyze this evening. I would want you to join me. If you have anything to say about this, what you've just listened to by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, please, by all means, click on the link in the comment section. That will bring you in the studio. Turn on your camera. Make sure you're in a very lit, a well-lit area. Ensure that you can, your face can show as mine is here. So let's listen to this while I wait for you to join me. Let's listen to this. You see why?
When I hear people declaring for APC, saying that they want to continue the good job of Mr. President, the good job of people dying every day, the good job of Naira falling every day, I feel so ashamed that we have gotten to the level where sacrificing, people will come and say, look, I want to continue the good job of Buhari. What is the good job of Buhari? Of hunger is a good job. Of poverty is a good job. Of insecurity is a good job. Of the economy falling is a good job. It's such a shameful thing. I can't believe that somebody will come out in today's Nigeria and say, I want to continue where Mr. Buhari has stopped. May God forgive. May God never allow that people to continue to.
You see, they are shame. They shame me. This is what an adult was saying, referring to Tinubu. That same adult today was defending himself and saying this in the Senate.
I'm not committed to this job. And I thank Mr. President for nominating me. I believe, knowing how hungry Mr. President is to solving the problems of Nigeria, we have no choice but to give him that required support. And I can assure you, if I'm confirmed, even whatever capacity, Mr. President will not regret nominating me. Thank you, and God bless you.
Now, how do you reconcile these two? Isn't that a bipolar characteristic of an individual? How do you reconcile these two? In one breath, you are saying to Nigerians in bare face, and which is true, which is fact, that the government has failed and they have failed catastrophically. What legacy do we have? We have a legacy where you see in Benin in Edo State, APC Minister of Health went into Edo State, commissioned a hospital. There is a level of wickedness you see. You think that Thunder is wasting time somewhere, maybe doing some press up. APC Minister of Health went into Edo State, commissioned a project, a hospital that was never finished. And they said, to the glory of God, say God, they don't use you. They don't use you by market. Why they waste time? Send some little thunder to come and deal with these people. Send some small thunder. Small thunder. Adults will see hospitals that are uncompleted. They will go and put plague there. Completed. I will share that video with us. I have some people here with me in the studio. So let's, if you want to join us, please click the joining button, the link in the comment section. Please share, and subscribe. Support us if you can. So let me bring in Adamwa here and One Man. Okay, oh God, I love it. One Man, I'm glad you're One Man. I'm glad you're joining me, because this conversation, I want you to be objective. So Adamwa, hold on, go ahead quickly.
Oh, me or the lady?
No, hold on. Adamwa first. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay.
Yes. Ladies first.
Listen,
There's no way that I will believe anything that Tinubu says. You cannot steal, and at the same time, you're asking me to be patient, or you're giving me an advice. He has to return the mandate first before he starts anything. You cannot achieve anything on a stolen mandate. It's impossible. So the earlier we get that truth, the better for everyone.
So yours is that he must first return the mandate.
You have to, and I'm just being
but
honest.
Isn't that why you are in court?
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Yeah, but governance has to happen while you are in court.
But even if the governance is happening, nobody is listening, because you cannot all of a sudden start telling the truth. You can't. All your life, everything about your life has been false. So again, there was a question you asked. For him to do anything, you said, who has eaten the money since the June? He cannot. He knows the people that have taken the money, but he cannot.
He actually said it here. Sorry, in his speech, he actually said that these are only few individuals who are stealing this money.
Okay, then
and nobody is telling us, can we have these individuals?
But he can't. He can't. How can you do that?
Don't worry. Let me bring in Spider-Man. Let me bring in Spider-Man. One man went to the mall.
Yes.
Spider-Man. You are muted. One man went to the mall.
Sorry, Spider-Man. That's a Superman logo.
Okay,
you did not misspend your youth like the rest of us.
Yes, I had. I misspent my youth. We are in Agbado farm. So
all right. Okay. So good to be here. Nakwana and all that. Are you still railing and riling against the Tinubu administration?
No, I'm not. I'm just. Okay. Let's stay within the realm of his speech this evening.
Right.
You watched it.
Yes, in fact, I streamed it even. But yes, it was a much needed speech. The one thing that we should all, I think, let's start with something that is not controversial.
Okay.
He necessarily had to have that broadcast. I think we all can agree on that, because there has to be a conversation between governance and the governed, which we never had under the Buhari administration. So the fact that...
But that's not a conversation. Sorry, that's not a conversation. You see, if you ask me what Nigerians needed today was a media chart.
A media chart?
A media chart in place of this broadcast today. That's what Nigerians would have. If I were to be the president, this marks today exactly, actually yesterday, marks my 60 days, that's 2 months in office. Today would have been a good day to have a media chart. I mean, you can go on. That's if I were to be the president.
That's not the tradition anyway. The tradition usually is 100 days. It's usually the 100-day mark, at least in Nigeria, that they then audit the performance. But yes, a media chart would have been ideal, but a national broadcast somewhat suffices given the circumstances. So it wasn't necessary, because he has fleshed out positions and acknowledged situations, and then he has functionaries to expand on that within the media space. But really, that address, I thought it was something that, in fact, I had anticipated that he would this week, and I wasn't surprised that he has. So now, the content of the broadcast itself, it spoke directly to where Nigerians are, acknowledging the pain that is currently afflicting the citizens at the moment, describing what led to those pains, and then offering what then the pathway to out of it is. So all of that was wrapped in that broadcast. And also, he went on to tell that necessarily the country has to go through a pain period for us to pivot from where we were, which is heading to a cul-de-sac, to head to redirect to a brighter future. I think everybody knew, whoever the president is at this day in time, the country necessarily where we were, we have to go through a pain period in order to pivot and redirect. So I don't think that comes as news to anybody. Everybody knew we had to go through a pain period. But now that pain period is what we're going through now, I'm not sure what people are.
But would you agree with me that there was a very colossal mismanagement of the pain?
In what form?
That he had 90 days before he was sworn in to have planned for what the palliative they are now creating to go between now, which I found really nice, that they are planning between now and March 2024 for this palliative to roll it out. That 90 days window was more than enough. The moment you remove it, you hit the ground running the first day. People should have known where they stood. Don't you think? Even he agreed that there were some errors made and delays in bringing these palliatives. Don't you agree with him?
Well, not necessarily. Could have, should have, would have. So that's all hindsight stuff, isn't it? Could have, should have, would have. There is no governance on this planet that's not taking positions that then they have to make necessary adjustments for the realities of it. So that is what is going on now. So the broader spectrum of it, the broad strokes of it is the steps taken are steps that had to be taken, and then the what Nigerians are going through now are things that Nigerians necessarily have to go through. There's going to be a pain period. There's going to be a lifestyle adaptation to new dynamic economic realities. And then the government has to make ameliorations in order to cushion where the pain pressures are. And that is what is going on. So there's nothing new or magical. There's no missteps being made. There was nothing that is unpredictable in what the situation is now. Could have, should have, would have. Yes, all of that. But where we are now was fairly predictable. We all knew it was coming. Nobody can pretend they didn't know.
So where do you now? This has happened. He has made this broadcast today. Be honest. Why do you think he chose today to make this broadcast?
I think it's the feedback of the hardship that the people are going through. And as I said, the people knew that there was some form of hardship coming, whoever the government was. But the pain that the people are going through, the people needed that pain acknowledged. And they needed to hear from their leadership that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So all of the feedbacks, and what it's telling you is that just within the 2 months of this removal of things, they have harvested just a vast amount of money, which is to tell you that the monies that was going to corruption is now being harvested back into the greater good. So for that money now to impact on the people, even in the most immediate term, it's still going to take a period of time. So what it's telling you is that chasm between the change and the light at that end of the tunnel is as short a period as they can condense it, but it's asking you to bear with him as it takes you on that journey. And that is what he said.
Okay, so Adam, do you agree with that?
I totally do not agree at all. At all.
So why don't you agree with that?
Why I don't agree, I'm just going to say what I said before, is that all this confusion is happening because from the origin of things, there was no plan. It was only a sense of egoism that I must be the president. And if you come in with such an ego and you surround yourself with people that have no idea of what they want to do, or that do not have the humanistic principle. And when I use that word, the humanistic principle, I also am trying to bring in compassion for human beings. Because if that were there from the origin, all this will not be happening. Let's just be honest with ourselves. I mean, people are dying, people are suffering. I'm sure that he himself or all those people surrounding him are not suffering. All those people, their children are abroad going to school. None of them is suffering. All this killing, all these bloodshed, none of them is happening. All the things that, and I don't want to take us back, but all the things that happened in Lagos during the election, the people that lost their life, I did not see Tinubu for 1 minute extend condolence to those people. And now you come here to tell me that he's making this and he's asking the people, bear with him. Bear with him for what, though? For what?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, one man, I don't know if you are aware of this. This happened in Edo. I want to pick your brain on this. This is done in a form of a collage. Now, this is okay, hold on. It says Children Emergency Unit, right? This is a Children Emergency Unit commissioned this day, 19 December 2022. Dr. Osage Emmanuel Ehanire, Honorable Minister of Health, Federal Republic of Nigeria, obviously under President Muhammadu Buhari. How do you and what do you say about this? That an individual would commission as a project, and the project is visibly not even 50% finished, right? Not even 50% finished, but it was commissioned. What do you think? Looking at this, how do you feel that this happened in Nigeria and no one has taken responsibility for this?
All right. Before I speak to that, let me just a little bit on what the lady said. Their children are abroad, the people are suffering. Look, that's the stark reality of life. The bourgeoisies, they always overlord the proletariat. That's just any country, wherever it is you are, the bourgeoisies, they always overlord the proletariat. So that's just, so it's tugging at the heartstrings. It's a straw man sort of a narrative. Though their children are abroad, the people are suffering. Of course, the privileged will always be privileged over the people that are less privileged than them. So that's just a fact of life. But you can substitute what you have here for the Dangote refinery, which we're hearing is not actually going to start pumping now till 2025, which Buhari, of course, went to commission. I think this is just a narrative of people wanting to have projects be attributable to their administration, irrespective of the state of readiness of that thing. I'm not quite sure how to address that, but it's just a malaise, really, that we have in our politics, is it not?
I'll bring that down here.
Master
Njenje, watching that video, looking at those clips, looking at the incompleteness of that project, and someone would have the infantry to do that. Obviously, you hit the nail on the head. They say the fish rots from the head. Buhari ran a government of idiots. Sorry, no apology here. Where he commissioned the second Niger bridge. I was in Asaba myself. I drove my sister to Asaba Airport to fly into Lagos.
I can hear myself back to your feed.
I don't know. Are you on two browsers?
Hold on. Carry on. Sorry. Carry on. Yeah,
okay. So when I dropped my sister there, near that bridge, heading to the Asaba Airport, you can see that the road was not completed. The bridge was not completed. 2 days later, the president commissioned it, which was a scam. Now, the second Niger bridge was commissioned. It's still not completed, not in use. That is an evidence. Secondly, you alluded to the Dangote refinery, not completed, produced zero. 8 years, a man who promised that his government was going to build one refinery every year was incapable of even fixing a single refinery, ran every functional one aground as the Minister of Petroleum, ended up doing zilch. You see this hospital, they say monkey see, monkey do. Like Papa, like Peking. Their head was rotten in the things he acted upon. Why wouldn't every other person do the same? I don't know.
Sorry, I was muted. Woman, thank you for saying that the children of the privileged, that's why they are privileged. It's okay if you have money and you want to send your children to wherever, but when you're using a community fund, this is all our money. They didn't become privileged because their father was working hard. It's all our collective money. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not envy of anybody that the father has money and they had to go to the moon. That's you. I know that all the fingers are not equal. But you know, when you oppress another human being to do what you are doing, okay, like this picture that we are looking at, that's supposed to be children's hospital and kids are dying. My question to you, woman, is, okay, I'm glad that Master Njenje has brought up Dangote. Why wouldn't Tinubu, if he's being honest with himself, ask Buhari or bring Buhari to book for what he did? United States is crucifying Donald Trump for all the things that he did. They are also persecuting Biden's son for all the things that he did. So why wouldn't Tinubu stand tall? He won't be able to do it because he's part of it.
I'll say two words to you, Jim or Bazier. I'll say those words, Jim or Bazier. Yes. Do you want me to expand on that?
Yes, please do.
Just as early as yesterday, Tinubu appointed a special investigator to do a root and branch audit of the CBN and all business enterprise units of the Nigerian state. So the business enterprise units will include the NNPC, the customs services, the FIRS, and all of the money earning spaces of the Nigerian space. So hard as it might be to believe we don't actually run a banana republic, is not going to march to Daura and throw the Malam there in a handcuff and chuck him into a Black Maria. You know, it's not Uganda, it's Nigeria. So what it can do is to establish what has gone wrong first, which we all know a lot has gone wrong, and the process. And I want you to look up that name, by the way, JIM. That's Jim, and it's OBAZEE. So that's the special investigator that's going to do a root and branch investigation of all of the lootings that took place under the Buhari administration, which I think, and is invited to take immediate possession of that brief and report weekly to the presidency. So there has to be an investigation and auditing first to establish facts before you then go and boot the Daura man into a Black Maria.
Okay, woman, I hear what you're saying, but on the other side of it, he was able to do the same thing you're saying that he's not going to do to the Daura man, to Emefiele. And now that you're telling me that he has appointed somebody to investigate, starting from the CBN, is he being vindictive or he's being honest with himself? I will watch.
So sorry. I just want to bring to woman's attention. Is he aware? Woman, have you seen this video before?
Nobody should ask me to come and give any evidence in any court. Otherwise, whoever it is, he will be in trouble.
So what's?
Yes,
just opposing that to what you said earlier. So what's your take?
I've seen you play that before. You know, I've often invited on these sort of platforms that you have to have context to that little mini clip, you know, because there's a preceding build-up and a succeeding build-up to usually the narrowness of a clip that people play on these sort of platforms. What Buhari was actually speaking to there was that if he's invited to give evidence, he will give all of the fullness of the evidence that he can give. And anybody that is caught up in that, in the evidence that he give, will be in trouble. So that's to be people like Abubakar Malami, a notorious looter, all this, the guy from Customs, a notorious looter, the one from FIRS, we will already know is a looter, Bawa, all of them. It says, if I'm invited, I will tell them, and if you are caught, you're caught. So it's not threatening the people inviting him, it's threatening the people who would have looted under his administration that, look, you are not under my protection. If they ask me, I'll tell them what I know.
Thank you. I'm glad that you said that. So now I'm asking that let Tinubu investigate Buhari. Let Buhari come in and testify.
Yeah, he's not going to investigate. Look, are you asking him to investigate Buhari or the Buhari administration? Because those are two different spaces.
Okay, the Buhari administration.
Well, there it is. So that's already ongoing. That's already ongoing.
And do you have confidence? Do you have confidence that he will be justice will be done and the administration will be investigated? Do you have that confidence, honestly?
I wouldn't say confidence, but hope. I am hopeful that at least some scapegoating will take place. At least some high-profile persons that they will be made examples of, just to make the example that there is no sacred cows within the Nigerian space. I am hopeful that because you can't get the entirety. You know, the Buhari administration is by far and a clear distance the most corrupt we have. They just remember when snakes were swallowing money. That's how low we sank under that space. So it was just the worst of everything we've ever had. So you can't catch all of them, but if you can get 3 to 5, maybe 10 of them, so high-profile names, and make a real example of them, I think that will satiate what the Nigerians are after. That there is no sacred cows, no persons above the law.
One man, I don't think also that we should only eliminate it to the people that swallowed the money. But what about people that spilled blood? People like El-Rufai, who is now going to be part of your minister. He should be investigated too.
Which blood did El-Rufai spill?
Oh, please go back and then investigate.
Anyway, let's stick with facts that are verifiable here. But I think when you look at the when you look at the president's speech, you think that speech that you've listened to, which you said you also broadcasted this evening, you think that it's a speech of hope, or do you think, like myself, my thought is that is a speech to avoid the planned actions for in 2 days' time, right? Do you think that is actually something that elucidates or it kind of gives hope to the poor?
I think it speaks to all of those spaces that you mentioned and more. I think it's to preempt that because I'm sure you're aware they were in negotiations with the Labour Congress, and the Labour Congress at the last meeting, they walked out. Maybe not so much from the details of the negotiations, but they felt they were badly treated and all that. So they're in negotiations with the Labour space to find what ameliorations are for the people and all that. So that's ongoing. And then there's an undercurrent of threats. I think the Labour Congress have actually booked a date for that public outrage or whatever it is that they are intended to do. So they're trying to preempt that as well. But the atmosphere in the country is so charged up that the people need to hear directly from a space of seniority, an acknowledgement first of the situation, and then a way out of it. And I think that's what he was trying to do, to give hope to the people so that they stay with him.
And do you think he achieved that this evening, honestly?
I don't think he got the language right. I think he needed to make the language a lot more pedestrian and less elitist. He did say, he started off saying it wasn't going to be elitist, but the language was somewhat elitist, somewhat. And I'm not sure that the party...
Sorry, were you then, if you said the language was elitist, were you expecting me to speak in vernacular, in pidgin?
Not in vernacular, but to pedestrianize the language somewhat and not use all these economic acronyms and all of these, intended to confuse you jargons and all of these isms and wisms and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay. So we have Festus Osaifo here joining us, but it's if I get you correctly, You said that Tinubu wanted to elucidate, and he did.
Today, I want to declare without equivocation.
So he
You and
wanted.
your cheap little tricks, huh?
So he wanted to equivocate, and from your point of view, he didn't actually equivocate properly. So Festus, welcome.
Hello.
What do you think of the broadcast from the president, Bola Tinubu?
I think, first of all, being a Yoruba person, being a Yoruba guy, a lot of my Yoruba friends are equal in this same space where they feel like Tinubu shouldn't even be the president at this point in time. So whatever the guy says, I don't think the guy is coherent and not actually pressing charges on Buhari. I don't think it's going to, because, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, there's just it's Nigeria seems to run on a classist mindset. There's the elite and then there's the peasants or working class. So I don't think he can say whatever gibberish wants to say, but I just feel like Nigeria is just on the brink of collapse. That's just the talk of town these days. So I don't put any emphasis on what Tinubu says. The guy is just, I mean, look at his ministers, the list of his ministers. It's so incoherent how to put El Rufai as a minister and a few other guys he has there. So the country is just pushing on the brink of collapse. That's just what I can say.
So, but specifically, one man, I think when you unmute, for some reason there is a buzzing sound coming from.
Sorry, I just unmuted just to take my leave. Let me take my leave and I'll listen in background. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you very much, woman. I would check out your message you said you sent to me, and I will get back to you. So, Festus, if you look at the speech itself, like, I'll repeat the same question I asked woman to you. Do you think that the speech this evening, as a Nigerian, hurting, things are going astronomically high, you're looking for succor, listening to Tinubu this evening, do you feel that emotionally you are charged, understanding that things are hard, that you're going to face the challenges? Does that speech inspire hope to you?
That speech is a failure, honestly. I saw a bit of it and I just stopped watching. It's really sad. I don't know if Nigeria disintegrates, I don't know who's gonna feel more heartbroken than me. The speech doesn't inspire hope. I live in the US, but to actually see people walking instead of actually getting fuel to drive to work, that speech Tinubu gave doesn't inspire hope for the future.
But I think let's agree on something here, that the first source of subsidy at some point has become a monster that has to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it has become a monster. It's none of the leaders been able to really muster the courage to deal with the monster, right?
Yeah.
And Buhari for 8 years paid that subsidy that he considered a fraud. But in the last days of his administration, after 7 years and 10 months, decided that it was going to go. So, and he went. Therefore, we are now here. And Tinubu is not, according to you and even one man, that this speech has not inspired hope. To be honest with you, I wanted to know from the audience, perhaps I'm biased, that the speech that I watched was bland, feels like someone who has made an egusi soup. Looks so nice, appetizing, but there was nothing. There was no ogiri. There was no salt, and there was no crayfish.
We forgot balabu.
So no hope inspired. That's terrible. That Nigerians.
What I want to shortly say is there is this game we play in the US. It's called Njenje. You stack up wooden blocks and then you start pulling a little bit out. So the loser is when you pull the last one and then it breaks, it crumbles. So Tinubu is the last guy playing Njenje, like Buhari has messed it up completely. So if Tinubu experiments and the house comes down crashing, it's going to be bad. If Tinubu makes a wrong move, Nigeria might actually cease to exist.
Are we talking about Nigeria before we end up that stream doesn't go for so long? Are you guys aware that we have a crisis in our hand? We have a crisis. The crisis in Niger Republic is developing faster than many of us can even think. Today, the ECOWAS sub-region is threatening to go in there and return democracy by force. And the consequences is, if that happens, the region will be thrown into turmoil. We have about 330,000 Nigeria who are displaced by Boko Haram living in Niger. Now imagine, we're uncontrolled. These and more comes into Nigeria. We begin to, it's scary when you think about these things. And this evening, the new head of state of Burkina Faso actually thrown his weight to the regime in Niger. The complexity is getting, the whole thing is getting complex now. Burkina Faso is thrown their weight. Guinea-Bissau is saying we're going to support. Sudan is supporting them. That's the other side of ECOWAS saying we have to return power. Nigeria, it's somewhat, especially Tinubu, scared that we do have a repeat of 1965, 63, 64, eventually that came into Nigeria January 15th, 1966. So do you think that ECOWAS, led by Nigeria, is going to go into, quote-unquote, war with Niger? What's your take? Do you believe it's happened? Festus?
Yeah, I can't rule anything out if Nigeria leads ECOWAS for us to go in there. What I can say is, do we have the money? Whose money are we using? And who's bidding? Are we doing France bidding to go in there? That's another question we should ask, because I've seen some of the coup plotters from Niger actually trying some of the, I think the finance minister who actually looted the country, calling him to, I guess bring the money back or whatnot. And Nigeria is just not in no place to get into that, because we have our own mess at home that we need to clean first. So I wouldn't know why Tinubu is championing this, oust this new military regime when we have to clean our own house.
But there is this belief, from some quarters in Nigeria, there is this belief from some quarters that the reason why that is happening, Tinubu now travels to two countries. He travels to France and he travels to United Kingdom. And it appears these two countries have stronghold on him to lead this. And you can see here, Burkina Faso head of state backs the coup in Niger Republic, offers support. It appears the Russians are giving them backing and support. So we are looking at something really big happening. Some Nigerians are already shouting, please, Nigeria should let them breathe. Nigerians are now shouting on Twitter and on Facebook, please, we do not want to get involved, let them breathe. And if that happens, we are going to have something like this, because this is where we are actually headed now. When you look at these things, when you look at this, for instance, it's scary. You look at the red are where you have military, government here. You have in Guinea, you have in Mali, you have in Niger, you have in Chad, and you have in Sudan. All these nations are
Sorry, I
top
have
of
to
Nigeria.
go now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Oh, so all these nations are, as you can see here, on top of Nigeria. It appears, as a result of this, Nigeria is indeed getting worried. Burkina Faso, January 2022, Chad, April 2021, Guinea, this September 2021, Mali since August 2020, Niger Republic this month, and Sudan since October 2021. What do you think? Do you think Nigeria, as it is, will be able to withstand the impending military incursion in democratic affairs in Africa? Let's discuss that. And for you to join us, if you have any opinion, if you have your thoughts and you want to share that with us, you can join us here in the studio virtually. You can see now the link for you to join. Click on it. We will bring you to the studio. Now, let me bring back our sister here. What do you think, sister? Do you think that these military coup that we have around Africa and specifically Niger, that may spell doom for Nigeria and the ECOWAS sub-region at large?
Going to spell doom, and from what I just said earlier, if Tinubu knew exactly what he's doing, if he's in that seat with the right mind, he would have used a different approach. For example, if he hadn't stolen the mandate, I guarantee you that if Obi was there, he would have handled it in a different way. With dialogue.
How do you think Obi would have handled it?
With dialogue, you can solve things. First of all, he would have found out what really happened and be able to dialogue with them before all these things went this way. But again, remember during our election in February, all these other countries were looking at us. They were looking at us and people were talking. And then the outgoing president, didn't he tell us that if we give him any problem, he will go over there? Wasn't he supporting them, buying all kinds of cars and building bridges to link them? Guy, you know what? All these things has been brewing. And I don't want Tinubu to think or to tell me that he didn't know about this. He might not be in the cabinet with Buhari, but he's APC. So he knew all these things were happening. Did he say anything? Things doesn't just start overnight and then spill out. It doesn't start overnight and just spill out. So I don't want him to come. It's because of this impunity that he did. That's why all these things are happening. Because we're in the era of media. People were looking. People were watching. Things were happening. It didn't just start today. It didn't even just start with the election that we did. It didn't just start. I mean, you can't wait for a boil to keep on infesting and infesting. And then when it blows up in everybody's face, we then come out here to say, there's a people breeze. No, forget that nonsense.
Anyway, thank you very much. That's the much we can take. It's been a pleasure, that many of you joined us this evening. But bear in mind, as we go ahead, in the next coming days, on Thursday, we will be having a live broadcast from Abuja where there is going to be a coalition of Nigerians from Abuja having a press conference and afterwards marching to the court and INEC. On Friday, we are likely to have a global State of the Union by many groups on this platform, including but not limited to NINAs and all the labor groups as well. So within the week, join us. There's going to be a lot happening on this platform. If by any means you haven't subscribed to this platform, by all means, do click the like button, share with others, and subscribe to ensure that you also put your notification button on. Anytime we come online, you'll be among the first to know. On that note, I will say thank you very much for being part of this podcast. We will definitely come back again. There are some conversations as well happening in the Twitter spaces. We will be bringing you some of those conversations on this platform. By 9 o'clock today, there's going to be a broadcast by COPDEM that will be streamed live. Join us there either on Twitter or here. We can take your questions as well. Tomorrow, the same thing. We must keep the hope alive, and we'll keep shouting as long as the things are not yet right. You know, we must keep shouting until things become, well, the way they ought to. On that note, I say thank you very much for being part of this. I am still Mazi Ezoke. I say good.